Guys, China is about to flip the switch on NIO, and that's gonna make sales absolutely explode. All right. So first of all, you have to understand, why is NIO selling so many cars in Shanghai? In Shanghai and the surrounding regions, those areas make up about 50% of the sales for NIO. So first of all, why is that the case? Okay, so here in Shanghai, all right, they're actually restricting gasoline plates. And then it's very difficult to get a gasoline license plate, whereas for a new energy vehicle plate, it's relatively easier to get, all right? You can get free new energy vehicle license plates for free. But of course, here in China, what's really stupid is that hybrids, EREVs, and PHEVs are also considered new energy vehicles. So this is pretty stupid. But Shanghai has realized that, that's not really environmentally friendly, so they've also removed that. It's only battery electric vehicles that get free license plates. So you have a situation where if people want to buy a new car, it's very hard for them to buy a gasoline car or a hybrid car. Whereas if you want a BEV, battery electric vehicle, boom, you can buy as many as you want. All right. Well, families are restricted to one car. All right. You're restricted to one car, but you get that license plate for free. So Shanghai having all those swap stations, all those new houses, they sell a ton of vehicles. All right. They sell a ton. So they sell more than Li Auto. They sell more than any other new energy vehicle company in 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 Shanghai. Okay, they do sell a little bit less than Tesla, but Chinese new energy vehicle companies, NIO sells the most. Okay, what about Beijing? Well, here in Beijing, they have something that's quite interesting. They have these driving traffic restrictions to alleviate these traffic congestions. So, for gasoline vehicles and also EREVs and PHEVs, even though those two cars have green license plates, they cannot drive in one day out of the week. All right, so that's kind of a limiting factor. And a battery electric vehicle on top of that, that you can drive every day of the week. You also have subsidies. So that's also a reason why Beijing sells a lot more. All right, sells quite a good amount of NIOs. But we're seeing that this policy isn't really being replicated in other cities except now. Okay, so Shenzhen is considering doing something similar because, whoever thought of the dumb idea of having hybrids, EREVs, and PHEVs get green license plates when they're burning gasoline and polluting the environment? I mean, it's no different from any gas vehicle for those guys. All right. So at the end of the day, they got to reevaluate things. So Shenzhen is reevaluating things, and they might consider putting some restrictions on PHEV or EREVs. And that, all right, is going to really, really help NIO sales over there. And what might happen going forward is that all those big cities that have high congestion, high pollution, that's a very big problem. They might also put restrictions on EREV, PHEVs, and hybrids and gasoline vehicle sales. That's just going to transition everything to battery electric vehicle for a greener future. All right, and that just means that there's massive potential that in the future we're not going to be able to see other companies sell vehicles at all. Now, guys, remember, incentives are one reason for buying a NIO, but policy is a more important part of their purchasing decision. If they can't even buy a gasoline car or EREV or PHEV, their only option is to buy a battery electric vehicle, then they're pretty much limited to companies like Tesla or NIO, all right, which is the case in Shanghai, why sales are just so astronomically high. But they really got to replicate this in every single city out there to alleviate these traffic congestions and pollution, etc. And when that happens, all right, and it will definitely happen. It will definitely happen. Every city has their own carbon emission standards. Every city has their own individual sort of new energy vehicle targets. All right, they want to sell more new energy vehicles. and they also have their own incentives, etc. But it's really the policy, all right? They got to adjust the policy to make it very, very favorable for a new energy vehicle, which currently it's not. There aren't any restrictions on gasoline cars in those tier 2, tier 3, tier 4, tier 5 cities. And once that happens, which it will eventually happen, all right, then of course, people are going to look into battery electric vehicle. They're going to be forced to buy a battery electric vehicle. Just like in Shanghai, they're pretty much forced to buy a battery electric vehicle unless you want to pay a hell of a lot extra money for a gasoline license plate. Okay? And why would you do that? Why the hell would you do that when you could buy a NIO? The other thing is, of course, local government support. So, for example, in Hefei, NIO gets a ton of support from the local government. All right, the local government themselves are going to be building 1,000 charge plus swap stations. These are going to be using NIO standard. So you're going to have swap stations in Hefei, the province of Hefei, Anhui, everywhere. Everywhere you're going to have these swap stations that you can swap everywhere, and that's just amazing. All right, and we really got to see more of these companies, all right, whether it's private companies, electricity grid companies, energy companies, or private companies, or even governments supporting battery swap, supporting the infrastructure development. And one very interesting story I got to tell you guys is there's this one really rural place in Tibet, very, very beautiful. All right, but it's very far. It's very far, and the only charger there, all right, there are only 2 charging piles, and they're operated by NIO. So every single electric vehicle that goes there, or PHEV or EREV goes there, they have to charge there, and there's a massive lineup there, all right, and even NIO owners, they're kind of upset that they have to line up for so long. All those other energy vehicle owners are also upset. Tesla owners upset, BYD owners upset that they have such a long line. But it's not NIO's fault, right? They're the only ones supporting the development of infrastructure there. So, they complain, NIO owners complain, but at the end of the day, you gotta understand that NIO itself has so many charging stations out there, and so many swap stations out there. They have more chargers than Tesla, right, here in China. So at the end of the day, even though those other guys complain and those customers complain, they got no other choice but to charge at NIO's supercharger, right, NIO's power charger, and NIO can jack up the price by a lot. And it just shows that NIO has a very strong dominance when it comes to electricity infrastructure, but they also need government support. And what's very clear about that area in Tibet is that area has literally no government support when it comes to charging infrastructure or swapping infrastructure. So, different provinces here in China, they really got to take action. Right? They got to take action, but they are more followers. They follow what the bigger cities do, like Shanghai, Beijing, etc. And Shenzhen is about to, pull the plug on EREVs, essentially. All right, no pun intended, but they're probably going to do that to, help with the pollution, alleviate traffic, support battery electric vehicles. When that does, Thanos swap, Thanos snap. And then EREV sales are going to go down over there. PHEV sales are going to go down over there. Battery electric vehicle sales are going to absolutely increase. So, it's just guaranteed. All right, it is just guaranteed. The transition is going to happen. The transition is going to happen in Shenzhen and then slowly with the other cities. But it's probably going to take some time. All right, so policy is very, very important, and China is taking action. So that's very nice. As always, stay safe, stay healthy. Peace out.